Right now, in eastern China, a bridge that survived 500 years of history just lost the fight in a single night. The Zhenhai Bridge in Anhui Province wasn't just old, it was ancient. Built in the year 1536, during the Ming Dynasty, this stone bridge stood through wars, dynasties, floods, and centuries of change. It watched empires rise and fall. And then in the span of a few catastrophic hours, it was gone, swallowed whole by the raging waters of the Shinhan River. This is what China is facing right now. Not a routine rainy season, not a typical summer storm. This is one of the most destructive flood disasters the country has seen in years, and it is still getting worse. Let's start with that bridge, because it tells you everything about the scale of what's happening. Authorities had actually evacuated the area and closed the bridge before it collapsed, which is the only reason no one was killed when it finally gave way. But think about that for a second. A structure engineered to survive 5 centuries of floods, wars, and natural disasters could not survive this one. That's not bad luck. That's a signal of just how extreme this flooding event has become. And the destruction isn't isolated to one province. In Sichuan, torrential rain triggered a massive landslide that buried part of a village. 3 people are confirmed dead. 1 person is still missing, buried somewhere under tons of mud and debris. Firefighters, police, medical crews, and emergency responders are digging through the wreckage right now, racing against time, while roads remain blocked and homes lie in ruins. Entire communities are cut off, uncertain when help will even be able to reach them. But the real danger, the thing that has emergency officials on edge across the entire country, is what's happening to the Yangtze River. The Yangtze is China's longest river, and it is rising fast. Multiple monitoring stations along its length have already recorded water levels that have blown past official warning thresholds. And meteorologists aren't saying the rain is stopping. They're forecasting another wave of storms, capable of dumping between 100 and 200 millimeters of rain across huge swaths of central and eastern China. That's not a drizzle. That's a river system already at its breaking point, about to take another direct hit. This is exactly the kind of pressure that puts massive infrastructure like the Three Gorges Dam under scrutiny. When the Yangtze Basin floods at this scale, every eye in the country turns toward the dam that's supposed to control it, because the entire downstream population depends on that structure holding. And it's not just the big landmarks and headline rivers. Ordinary daily life has been thrown into chaos. In Shenzhen County, the flooding got so severe that officials were forced to postpone the National College Entrance Examination, China's version of a make-or-break college entrance exam that millions of students spend years preparing for. Roads were so submerged that students physically could not reach their exam centers. Imagine studying your entire life for one test, and the flood decides whether you even get to sit for it. The numbers coming out of Anhui Province alone are staggering. More than 420,000 people have been affected. Tens of thousands have been evacuated as rivers keep overflowing their banks. More than 31,000 hectares of farmland have been wiped out. Hundreds of homes are destroyed, and the economic losses are already climbing into the hundreds of millions of yuan, and that number is only going to grow as the rain keeps falling. Faced with all of this, authorities made a decision they don't make lightly. They opened the spillways at the Shinhan River Reservoir, also known as Qiandao Lake, for the first time in 9 years. 9 years. This reservoir isn't just some flood control afterthought. It's a critical piece of infrastructure that also supplies drinking water to a huge portion of eastern China. Officials opened 5 of its 9 spillways, releasing enormous volumes of water downstream in a calculated gamble. Risk-controlled flooding now to prevent an uncontrolled catastrophe later. That's the kind of decision you only make when you're genuinely worried about what happens if you don't. And here's the part that should really concern people watching this unfold. This isn't a freak, one-off storm. Zhejiang Province has now experienced over a month of unusually heavy rainfall, more than 50% above its normal seasonal average. This is a sustained, weeks-long weather pattern, not a single bad night. And with more storms already forecast, experts are warning that conditions could deteriorate even further before they improve. So where does that leave things right now? Rescue teams are still combing through landslide debris in Sichuan. Water levels on the Yangtze are still climbing. Reservoir operators are still managing spillway releases in real time, trying to balance the risk between towns upstream and towns downstream. And millions of residents across multiple provinces are being told the same thing: stay alert and be ready to evacuate the moment authorities say so.